See, there you go. I was going to come out of black there. But anyways, welcome, everyone. I'm Marty Patton. Welcome to BTS Live. Stands for Behind the Scenes Live with Mark Rogers and myself. Me, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm bracing myself for the cold weather, for the wintry mix that is headed our way. We've been so lucky at this point of the year. It's incredible. So I can't complain, but I'm still bracing myself.
Yeah, me too. I know. It's like December was like, I think it was the warmest December in Connecticut on record ever.
I heard something the other day that this is the first time in recorded weather history going back to the 1880s that there was no snow accumulation in Connecticut before January.
I believe that. I mean, past several years, it's been crazy. So, and I think we're expecting a little slush tonight at best.
Yes, we are, from what I hear.
Yeah, which I will take all winter. I mean, I like this warmer weather, so as long as it doesn't get no more of those polar vortex, I think they called it.
Yes, and you with your home business, you're tucked away all nice and safe and sound, and you and Misty. But I will be out and about and coming home at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. I want to welcome everyone to the show. I see a lot of friends here. John Preto, Furkan from Blab, Mike Baltus, Robin, bunch of people here, I see. So welcome, everybody. We're going to get right into it, and I'm going to start out first. And the theme of today's show is what we see coming in with video. And in fact, I got the wrong slide up. There we go. Looking ahead to 2016. And what we see, and I'm going to just go over a couple points that I see as kind of trends and maybe predictions. Just to let everyone know, we will be happy to take questions at the end. Doesn't have to be on this particular anything with video production on camera or behind the camera, and we'll pop people in the seat as we have time. But some of the things I'm seeing, Mark, as far as looking ahead to 2016, is this trend on mobile. Certainly mobile first. I think a lot of people have heard that as mobile first. You got to be ready for mobile first, and I think that continues. As if you create video experiences, I think you have to pay attention to mobile. That's where the majority of video now is consumed. I mean, you look at Facebook, I think it's like 60 or 70% of people consuming video will do it on Facebook. And then you look at the live streaming apps that have come out this year, like Periscope and Meerkat and even Blab. They have a mobile experience on iOS. And I think a lot of people grab their mobile device and experience video that way first. So you certainly want to be aware of that. And I think that continues in a big way. The other thing that's pushing this trend, I think, is all the apps that are coming out that enable you to go live. Live streaming is something that you hear a lot about during 2015, but it certainly makes it easy when the app's on your phone and you just press one button. Also, the camera quality and audio quality on these forms are spectacular. Number two, definitely more apps to come. If you think this is it, you got another thing coming. Periscope, I think, got a lot of headlines early in the year. Periscope, Meerkat was first. Periscope was bought by Twitter even before they launched. They were bought by Twitter, and Twitter launched them. Then you had Blab come on in the spring, and they have other services as well. We'll get into that as well. But I think the proof of concept is there, and I think you're going to see a lot more apps to come. So what does that mean? That means, well, there's really no clear winner yet. If you think that you're going to hitch your wagon to one particular app or one particular service, I think that's probably a mistake. I think there's a lot of sorting out to do. We'll talk about Blab for instance. They're still evolving and they're introducing new features and listening to their community. And I think everyone's trying to figure this out as we go along. And the people on this show right here tuning in are really the pioneers, and you guys are really the kind of the beta users, really, and you're helping figure this out along with everyone else, along with the developers. So really no clear winner yet, but I will say watch Facebook. Facebook is rolling out their live streaming platform to all users, at least on iOS and in the United States. I just recently got it about a week ago. I did my first live video, Facebook Live on Christmas Day. Took a video of my brother playing the ukulele, which was fun. And I think for those instances, it could be really cool. The experience, it's going to be very interesting to see how they come out here, because one, they got a ton of users, 1.5 billion users, far and away the most popular social network. Nobody's even close. Number two, I think the experience is pretty good. The Facebook experience, the posts seem to have a much longer life on Facebook, and the comments do not go away. In fact, they're threaded. So I'll tell you from my experience, what I was able to do is once I streamed, I'm able to see comments come in live. So I'm able to interact with people as they come in. One thing I've also noticed is the comments come in nice and slow. They're kind of paced. So they don't come in so rapid fire that you miss it. And then once you're done with your live video, then you can go back and actually answer comments. You can have discussions. The video is automatically posted to your timeline, versus like a Periscope, which is designed to last 24 hours and it disappears. Same with Meerkat. I realize there are tools that you can record, but I think that's going to be very interesting to watch. How does the live ephemeral video that disappears compare to the live video that stays around? So more sort of like the Facebook YouTube model. So definitely watch Facebook. That's going to be very interesting. In my opinion, YouTube is still king unless someone topples them over. And the reason I say that is you can repurpose your live video, online video, to YouTube. And the big advantage YouTube, and we talked about this in previous weeks, the big advantage YouTube has is the search. It's still the king of search. If you do your titling right and use the correct keywords, it's still the king. And people, and again, the video lasts a lot longer. They have a longer life. So think about these platforms. And then I would say also quality is going to win out. A lot of this stuff is brand new. We've talked about this in previous weeks. I brought up the shiny object syndrome, where everything's new and you want to test it out. Facebook Live, I think, is going through that right now. As people get it on their app, they're going to be tempted to try it out on any little thing. I think that's great. Certainly try it out. But then in the longer term and longer scheme of things, especially if you're in business or if you're a professional, quality is still going to matter. So as you build out an audience, you're building that trust. Think about what you're doing. I mean, you don't have to obsess over it, but you want to think and make sure that, am I providing value for the people that are taking their time to watch your video, or am I just streaming just to stream? So I think that's, I think restraint and discretion, I think, are going to be two big things coming up in 2016 when it comes to video, because it's going to be a ton of content out there. And lastly, I would say leverage multiple networks. I talked a little earlier that, we're just at the beginning here. So you're going to see plenty of apps. And I think that's good. Just like in the smartphone race where you have Apple and Android, it's good that there's competition because it pushes everybody to be better. So, same thing here. I think it's very, very important to have that competition. So I'm just going to highlight a few of these alternate networks that you may not have heard of. Everyone's heard of YouTube and Periscope and Blab, of course, but I'm going to highlight 3 of them that you may not have heard of. That I was going to actually use this one, Daily Motion, and this is a European-based YouTube, basically, and it's very much like YouTube. I just opened an account this week. Here's what the homepage looks like, and just to let you guys know, I was going to stream this show to Daily Motion along with couple other CDNs, but didn't work out quite this week, but we will in future weeks. But again, this is something that, this is free. They offer live streaming. You can upload videos, you can share them, embed them, very much like YouTube. And the advantage here is you're on another network. The other advantage is not quite as crowded as YouTube. So you want to take advantage of this. It's very easy to sign up. So I would definitely check out Daily Motion. Sometimes Daily Motion is the site. Another service I signed up for is StreamUp. Now, this is an example of a live-only platform that is that has an iPhone app. I'm not sure if they have Android. I think they do. But you can stream right from your phone, just very much like Blab or some of these other Periscope and some of these other services. And also you can stream from the desktop using what's called RTMP, meaning it's a direct streaming protocol. So if you have more professional equipment and you have a switcher and you have an encoder and you want to get into that and you want to stream, you can do that as well. The difference here is I believe this is just live only, but this is another one I'm playing with. I'm starting to play with here. The third one I want to highlight is, and this is an example of what the interface looks like. Very simple. On the top row, it's some featured content, along with on the bottom is also some featured content. I don't have a picture of the channel. It's a very simple platform. The third one I want to highlight is Fire Talk. I think we talked about this in previous shows. This is an example of a service taking both one button WebRTC, very much like Blab, very much like Periscope, and also offering it the direct streaming RTMP, and giving you an opportunity to create a channel, very much like YouTube. So if you're streaming live, it'll present your live content in the same window. If you're not streaming live, it allows you to post a YouTube playlist that plays in linear fashion, just like it would be on a TV network. So that's a very intriguing service. So what am I? And this is an example of the homepage of Fire Talk. Again, they're a very new service. All these services are brand new, but it's a very intriguing service. So, kind of what is the summary of what I want to kind of point out here? I would say is we're at the very, very beginnings here. I think 2016 is going to be another year of transition, discovery. You're going to see a lot more apps. All you guys here on this show, you guys are the pioneers. And also, again, don't think you've missed the boat by any stretch. People can still get on YouTube and create channels and create audiences, and there's still plenty of opportunity there. And that's probably one of the oldest, most established services out there. So again, I think the first step is just getting over that hump and doing your first video. But again, be open. Expect a lot of change. Expect a lot of evolution. Since we're on Blab, I'll speak to Blab. I certainly expect a lot more coming from the folks at Blab and what they're going to do with the platform. I know they're listening. I know they're observing how people use the platform, how people use video. I have my ideas, but again, it's going to be very interesting to see and going forward. So explore these other services, explore what's going on. It seems like there's something new every week, but I think a lot more excitement. And I predict even by the end of 2016, I don't think there's any clear winner. I think that's something for 2017 and beyond, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it. Mark, what do you have to say? Any take on what you see for 2016? I know you have some prepared remarks on preparation and how you prepare content.
So in terms of what you just addressed, Marty, that does nothing but overwhelm me. So what I'm going to address right now is something similar to what you talked about in regards to looking ahead to this year. And I kind of took myself as an example. So again, if you're joining us for the first time, Marty's the behind the scenes technical operational expert. I deal with the content creation and the on-camera performance. And so we've talked in previous weeks, we have 6 or 7 other shows about the quality of the content. And that's something I really want to grind down in future weeks, as well as talking about the on-camera presentation. We've talked about voice. We've talked about gesturing and everything involved with on-camera performance. The more I'm taking my own situation, and Marty and I talk about this all the time in regards to who we're speaking to out there, and we know that everyone's at a different level in regards to a hobby, a business, where they want to take this, what the goal and the vision is. And so I think generally we're speaking to people that are very serious about this. You're very serious. Maybe you're at a certain level. Maybe you're just starting or beginning, but you've got a big vision of what you want to do with this. So we're not typically talking to the novice or somebody who just wants to do this for fun or do it for a hobby, but somebody who wants to take this and gain some influence and some attention out there and build it into some level of business. So for myself, what that's turned into is a time issue. So that's the one thing we cannot create is time. That's the biggest issue for most of us, and that's certainly my biggest issue. So again, we've talked about content quality in the past, on-camera presentation, and we'll deal with that in the future. But now I just want to take my own test case, use my own situation, throw it out there and let you know what I'm dealing with, and maybe some things that you need to think about in regards to your own content preparation and approach and how you're using your time and how you need to analyze your time going forward in 2016. So for me right now, I use this term a lot with Marty, and he laughs, hemorrhaging with ideas for content. I can't create enough content. I have so many ideas, I can't get to all of them. And fortunately, I've created a network of bloggers, broadcasters, and writers that I bring on my show that is too large of a network at this point to support even the time restrictions there. So where a year and a half ago, I would talk to Marty and say, who am I going to get to come on my show and support my show? Now I have a network that's too large. And so I have to make considerations for the quality that they bring, the influence they have, and make some difficult decisions in terms of the people that I can bring on. So I was just reviewing my typical week and looking for time. So on Sundays, I have had in the last few days proposed to me, for those of you who don't know or follow me, we've talked about this in previous weeks. I produce college football content. So this is my wheelhouse, my time of the year, playing all these bowl games and so forth in the next few weeks. So I've had a show proposed to me, an SEC show, 30-minute show to do on Sundays. So do I do that? Well, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 hours out of my week. Okay, on Monday, prior to this show, I've got a college football coast-to-coast show that I'm doing on Blab that I've done for the past 9 weeks. I'm on the air for 30 minutes. I do minimal, if any, preparation. I just shoot from the hip, talk off the cuff. So that doesn't take a whole lot of time. Although it's downloaded, I have to repurpose that to YouTube and some other sites as well. Then we do the behind-the-scenes show. And, of course, this is, Marty, my priority. And certainly will be going forward in 2016 for a number of reasons there that go beyond the other content that I do. On Tuesday, I do a college football betting segment with a gentleman out of Las Vegas, a handicapper. That's a 30-minute deal, take some preparation and so forth. On Wednesday night, I've got conference shows with the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12 bloggers. 30-minute shows that take preparation. And what I have discovered, and maybe you've hit this point as well, is the contacting of people, the trading of information, the trading of open windows in which you can record the content, and trading schedules and working out times. That becomes extremely time-consuming in and of itself, just the contacting of people. And those are people that you typically already have a business relationship with, in addition to the business relationships and the branding that you need to be doing on a regular basis. On Thursday night, I've got a 30-minute show. So those are just the staple shows that I have each week. On top of that, I did some counting last night. 700 videos that I created, in addition to what I just mentioned. 700 just kind of off the cuff, one stop shopping, 700 videos. So that's like 14 a week. So you do the math on 15, 16-minute videos and the preparation and the post-production and all that goes into that. And so I am hit now with a situation where I have to do some serious self-analysis of what is valuable, what's less valuable, what needs to go, what needs to be emphasized, because quality is being sacrificed at this point as well. In addition, the full-time job, the kids, the other things in life that pull you away from focusing on the business. in addition to building out the business and some things we talked about last week in regards to social media, building relationships, the contacts you need to pursue, operational, technical considerations, and all those things. So I am getting to a point where I have to review everything that's on the plate for me. And I've got to review the quality of the content, the quality of the contacts that I had. So a year and a half ago, I brought on anybody who wanted to open their mouth and talk. A year and a half later, I have to survey and look at who I bring on. And unfortunately, they're all really nice people. They're great people, but I have to look at their ability, their knowledge base, their influence on social media, how well their platforms are built out. And I have to kind of devise a pecking order there in regards to the people that I interact with and bring on my show. So the contributors, I have to start to review them and filter them out. The potential of their platforms, the immediate or near future financial return, as I'm looking at some options here as well. And again, the time consumption. So I'm weighing quantity versus quality in reviewing my schedule. And this is going to be a practice that I'm going to go through over the next few weeks and really look at my schedule and figure out the content and how that matches up with my schedule and how I am taking inventory. So I am encouraging everyone out there to look over your schedule, look over your goals, your vision, and what you'd like to accomplish. Look at your current situation, look at your contacts and your business relationships out there, who is really helping you, supporting you, emphasize those relationships, put a priority on those, and do some self-analysis because time is of the essence. So I'm even in the process of doing that and would love some suggestions from you who have even tackled that in a more precise and organized way than myself. So I can definitely learn from tons of you out there.
I do want to say, Walter is recognizing your knowledge in college football, Knight Rider.
Yeah, Walter joined us about an hour ago on our College Football Coast to Coast show. Yes. And Walter, I appreciate the comment. You can't imagine how much I just jump on there and it's just off the fly. I would really love to do a full throttle show where I'm really prepared and ready to go and not staying up till 5 o'clock in the morning the night before and rolling out of bed and just clicking record and talking. But I appreciate the comments so much. So we expect to do better. And that's something that as content creators, I think you can all identify with the quantity versus the quality. When I took inventory and did 700 plus videos this past year, maybe that's too much. Maybe I need to pare back and start to work on the production quality and the quality of my own knowledge and presentation. But I'm in the mode of just cranking it out right now. And now I need to take inventory of what I'm doing and figure out what's best versus what can be left to the wayside.
Absolutely.
So I encourage everybody else to do the same thing.
Yep. And we talked about that in previous shows as far as choosing something you're passionate about because you're going to do it for a long time. Mark, you've been doing this since what, 2010? Something like that?
Yeah, 2010, really kicked it in around 2013.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all these new tools. So, we want to invite folks. The seat is open. Want to invite folks to come in. If you have a question, comment about where you see the state of live video in 2016 moving forward. We got Barb Tomlin coming in here. Barb is a good friend. Welcome, Barb. Hopefully we can.
Hi.
There you are. Hey, Barb.
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, Barb,
hey, Barb. How are you?
I notice you're wearing something special there. Yes. So I
thanks to Brittany. Yeah.
and thanks to folks that I don't have my, I got to be fancy for the show here, but I don't have my, I do have my T-shirt here, and I'm gonna put it on. I'll have it on with some blabs. But I want to thank the folks at Blab. You guys are great for sending that to me. That's really cool. I love the shirt and all the cool stickers and all that cool stuff. I mean, this platform has been a game changer. I think, Mark, you could agree, and Barb, you certainly see it. I think it's
Absolutely.
it's gotten a lot of people involved that would never have chosen or never have gotten involved in video, because it makes it very easy to get started. And I think that's a big plus. We all throw out our feature requests. I mean, I consider myself a little bit more advanced as far as production techniques, and I know the bunch of us have thrown out different feature requests and different suggestions, but I do want to recognize the folks at Blab. I think that's the big thing they've done, is they've made it very, very accessible, and I think they've kind of paved the way, really, for people to kind of get involved in video production.
Well, I wanted to jump in right away because of Mark's. I can feel your pain about where you're coming from and organizing your time and your commitment. So it's like right away. Well, I assume that you and Marty will unfriend me any day now because my social footprint is ancient, and it's really the live streaming that's brought me back to life. And so what I wanted to bring out is it's all about making new connections and quality connections, engaged connections. And that's what live streaming affords us. So it may not be, in taking the time to look at the footprint that someone has out there from 5 years ago, they're not engaged. If they're not engaged, who knows if they're even alive? The thing is you got to be in the here and the now. And if they're here today, they're engaged. And so those are the people that should get your priority. And I look at that if you're living in the now and the news of the now and the people of the now, those are the ones that are actually interacting with you. So it's a time to really, for me in particular, those Twitter lists are invaluable. I think every one of us should. I have in every Blab where I've had the opportunity, I said, be sure to set up a Twitter list for your Blab connections, because you know that those people are engaging. They're coming in here. This is part of your community that you're building now. And for each of us to follow our friends' Blab lists, because out in the Google universe, that's going to come up. That's going to give us more significance to be found through Google onto Twitter and through going all the way through to Blab. But I just wanted to get in there that it's the connections you're making now as part of this paradigm shift, that we are live streaming, the very reason that you're here today and connecting. And so it becomes a situation of new connections. Gosh, I'm grateful. I've got a friend list that goes back 40 years that I'm still connected with. And I'm grateful for all of them, but they're quietly there in the address book. But you need to have the sphere of influence you're working with today as a separate list and where you're putting your attention. But it needs to be the people you're engaging with. And not so necessarily do they have a huge social footprint. Be very careful about that, because that is one of the things that we all learned in the very early days here on Blab. We saw people come in that had no Twitter followers and had genuine 4,000 followers within a couple of weeks. And they were engaged followers. And everybody knows that you can buy Twitter followers. You can do similar things on Facebook. And so the bottom line is make those connections with people you're engaging with. Because one of the things that happens by all of us seeing each other on the screen, you get a feel for what that person's really about and how genuine they really are. So it doesn't just become a contact, but a connection. So. Yeah, that's it. I'll let you go.
I think you raised several excellent points, Barb, and I'll echo what you're saying through a little story. Mark, we both are. Well, I'm an ESPN alumni. I worked there for 19 years. Left there in May of 2014. Mark is still there in a supervisory manager role. And one of the things I would do with my direct reports, and many times I would have fairly new people to the work world, mostly fresh out of college, within at least a couple of years. So they're kind of finding their way. And one of the things I would talk about is communication, and being a text-based world with texting and things like that, text, and also the social media started out text-based, and that's really a one-dimensional style of communication. And to kind of echo what you said, Barb, a lot of really all my business has been built on social media as far as clients, and those relationships took time to build because it was text-based. You didn't see a face, maybe you saw a still picture, but you really didn't hear a voice, you didn't see the face, you couldn't really see the mannerisms, and you really couldn't have that true conversation. It was all text. Now with the dawn of live video online, and accessibility, it's been around for a long time. And I think we have John Preto in the room. He's one of the pioneers of live video. So it's been around an awful long time, but I think it's just recently that it's became very accessible, where it's very easy for people, meaning that it's on your phone. I was going to grab my phone. It's not back here, but it's on your phone, and that couldn't be any easier. Most people always have their smartphone in their hand, and it's one button. So, with that, then as we're doing here, you can see the person you're talking to. You can see their facial expressions. You can hear the inflection in their voice. You can tell, like lots of times it's hard to tell sarcasm in text, right? Or what the true meaning, what do they mean by that? And, it's left up for interpretation. Here, not only do you see the person and you're able to kind of see it through their facial expressions and through their voice inflection, but also ask them questions. So if I didn't understand something from Barb, from what you're saying, I'm able to say, hey, Barb, what do you mean by that? And I'm able to ask you a question. So, and we're going to bring in, I'm not going to bring in the egg. I think I'm going to resist that temptation. I would say for folks that want to come in, put our picture up there.
Put your clothes on.
Exactly. Happy to bring you in. But anybody's welcome to come in here if you have something to add as far as what you see in 2016, anything to the discussion. But Barb, I want to definitely echo, the importance of face-to-face. I mean, I talked a lot about it at work, where I would say to folks, you need to have that face-to-face meeting. Otherwise, if you have something that you need to tell your boss or your colleague, you can certainly do an email, but make sure it's going to be a lot more work to make sure they understand what you mean. I mean, Mark, I'm sure you can certainly identify with several situations that you deal with, of text-based communication versus that live or that video-based communication where you can actually see someone. I'm trying to stay ahead of the comments too, guys. I'm not ignoring you here. But Mark,
I'm going to go to the sidelines, and I'm just going to drop a link into our Facebook group again when I get over there. So everybody be looking for it and join all of us there so we can get your feedback about the program here, as well as ideas of what you do want to have covered in the coming months. And I mean, I'm loaded. I've been holding up because there's nobody in the room there with us. So we need to get rolling because 2016 is our year. Yeah. So let's make it happen. I'm coming out of the dark, up from the grave, if you will. But anyway, I'm going to split and I'll put that in the side. And you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Barb.
Barb, thank you so much because, boy, I appreciate, I know Marty does as well, the encouragement that she brings. And Barb, that you've just been a tremendous supporter from day one. So we in turn need to help you with this Facebook launch. So appreciate you doing that and starting this Facebook group, because that's just amazing for you to help us out in that manner. So I will be jumping out today and seeing what you got there.
And I think it's funny, Mark and I first launched this, we said, let's give this a try. The main reason we launched this whole project is we saw obviously there's a need for production information. It seems to be pretty popular, at least the people I hang out with on Blab and these other social platforms. It's a fun topic. It's a topic you can talk about all day long. And it's also a topic that, I think intimidates people. And there's plenty of people on here that have knowledge and are willing to share. So there was a need there. And then I thought, well, Mark is a professional on camera. You've been a sports anchor in several markets around the country. You have experience on camera. You've actually done highlights for ESPN on the digital platform. So we figure, okay, I think we need to combine both of them, because one thing to have all the tools and production, all the fancy gear and all that stuff, but also how do you actually present yourself on camera? And I'm by far no expert. Mark has taught me a lot, and and mentors me, and I'm lucky to have Mark as a friend. But we figured, well, maybe we'll combine the two and try to help some folks. So we did it as an experiment, and it's, judging from the turnout here, seems to be something that people like to talk about and hear about. And I think we can offer some help. And Mark, I know we have a lot of plans for 2016. We are, off camera, offline, have a whole list of topics that we're going to go through. But as we get the Facebook group growing, I'm going to launch. I created a landing page. I was going to stream this show, to be honest with you guys, to YouTube Live and several other platforms to kind of show you TV style how we do it and how we're planning on doing. That's the direction we're going to take this. So if I can get that to work, hopefully next week I can launch that, and we'll have a site up. And what we want to do is do show notes and give you guys the information, because I know we cover a lot of stuff. And so if we give you guys, some places to go and say, if we're talking about microphones, so here's a page and here's what we recommend, and try to offer you some helpful information on top of what we're doing here live. So that's what we have planned going forward. And you're going to kind of see us build this thing live. I mean, that's kind of worse than all. That's kind of how we're doing it. We had a hiccup today because I was going to stream it live on these other platforms, but didn't want to. My setup did not want to cooperate. As you go and do fancier stuff, you run into other problems. So it takes a lot of rehearsal and a lot of work. But again, we'll bring you on the inside and just kind of show you how we're doing it here.
Hey, Marty, I got to say that what Barb just brought up in regards to getting feedback and engagement from our community that we're building here would be a tremendous help to me in particular, because a lot of the items that Marty brings up and reviews are very tangible production and operational items. I'm speaking more from a conceptual standpoint. And I got to tell you, when Marty and I first started talking about it, I loved the idea, but I thought about, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to talk to people about presenting themselves on camera and utilizing their voice and creating content? I thought, boy, I'm going to have about 2 shows worth, and then I'm done. And once I started to make a list and think about these things, that list just exploded. But still, I've got to say that forever, I've clicked the button and talked and haven't given a whole lot of thought, maybe no thought, to presentation skills and what has been entrenched in me going way back. And so I've had to kind of clear out the cobwebs and think about what was on my mind and what was I developing 20 and 25 years ago. Yeah, unfortunately, that old 20 and 25 years ago, in terms of developing my own on-camera skills. What was I learning in college and just after college and during internships and presenting myself that I need to kind of dig up and are good reminders for myself, certainly, and now hopefully instructing and teaching all of you. And so let me know, and Marty, what you would like to hear in future shows and would like to see addressed, because I'd like to jump on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, Mark, because like you said, it's ingrained in you, and you kind of just, it comes natural, and you just do it. And then it's a whole different deal when you have to put it together and say, how am I going to explain what I do to folks that really are maybe just starting out, and how can I break it down? And that's our challenge with all this stuff. We've been doing it for a long time, and that's really our goal with this, is to break it down, to make it simple, kind of build as we go. I mean, we'll do the simple stuff, and we'll do some of the more geeky stuff. Future shows, I'll get into, I'm using the way I'm getting this background, for instance, I'm using a green screen. What is a green screen, and how do you do that? And what are some of the tools that you can use, even for a beginner? Things like that. We'll do shows just on that. Mark has, it's funny, we started this document in Google Docs to gather all our ideas, and Mark was just saying you're afraid you're not going to have enough topics. I think there's like 2 pages worth of stuff in there. But I took a look at this morning. It's like, oh my God, Mark's been busy. He's got a lot of stuff in there, and there's a ton of stuff to go through. I do want to answer some of these questions. Del Williams posted a question. What do you think of DJ Khaled's style on Snapchat? He is the most successful person there now. I am not a big Snapchat guy. I do have an account. I am by far a neophyte when it comes to Snapchat. So I don't know, Del, if you're available. If you want to come in, you can certainly invite you to come in one of the seats if you're camera ready and set up. But I have no idea. Mark, are you familiar with?
I'm not. I need to go find my daughter. She could talk more Snapchat than I could. That's for sure. She's all over that. But
and it's funny you mentioned Snapchat. I mean, I know it's a very important platform and something, I resolve to get more familiar with as we go forward, because that's another platform that's multimedia. It's a little different take, so it's very unique as far as kind of the one-to-one communication. But again, I am just starting out with that, so I am not knowledgeable at all in that arena. Walter posted a question: do you guys like streaming video with a community as opposed to structured TV production with no community? I think there's room for, and I'll let Mark take this too. I think there's room for both. The intriguing thing with Blab and what keeps me coming back is the community. I think the folks at Blab get tired of me talking about it. I wish one of my feature requests is I wish that the windows were resizable so that I could do a kind of a TV style show for the show part, and then still have a couple of squares available for folks to come in and ask questions. I love the interaction. And let me just, as soon as children's parents came into Facebook, but I would like to have that platform so I can present more 16, more TV style. So I think there's room for both. And some of the services I went through, the Fire Talks and the Stream Up, and even Daily Motion, things you can stream to, they all have chat functionality. So there's a lot of services out there. I think what Blab has done really right is they got a very passionate community, which is very, very important, and that's what keeps me coming back here. And I love it, to be honest with you. Mark, I'm not sure if you have any take on that question.
Well, so as you just explained, I've worked in a couple of different markets around the country as a news and sports anchor, and going back to the pre or very early internet days, and then even now, the interaction is very minimal. Now, traditional television is getting into Twitter and Facebook and trying to engage the audience, but it's not nearly the same. So that is something that when I broke into social media and the online thing that Marty had to kind of introduce me to. And that's the importance of the engagement of the audience. And that's something that I have to say that initially the thought of it didn't intrigue me. I was like, well, I want to produce content and get it out there and have people consume it because I had a traditional mindset. And then once I did it, I much more prefer the engagement of the community, the challenge of answering questions, of receiving back feedback and comments, and having to debate and discuss the topic that I've chosen, college football, is much more energizing to me than doing what would have been at one point just a broadcast and having absolutely no feedback. Did somebody take that well? Is that well received? Unless I walked down the street and walked into a grocery store and somebody pulled me aside to tell me I was a knucklehead or tell me that I was the greatest broadcaster in the world, I had no idea. And until one particular station brought in a consulting firm that let us know, hey, we've talked to focus groups and this is what they say, the feedbacks in traditional TV, and I'm going back to my career began in 1991, there was no feedback. You didn't know how good you were. You didn't know how you were being received generally. So this is phenomenal. I love this.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at and I want to thank everyone for being so engaged in the comments here. And this is part of the challenge I think we have with a platform like this. It's so engaging and so community minded that we still have a mix, right? Because a lot of us are trying to do shows on here. So we're doing a traditional show. I'm looking right into the camera. So is Mark, right? But then you have the comment. I'm looking down here at my laptop. I'm looking at the comments, and I want to engage down there as well. And I think it's the same thing on a lot of these platforms. That's going to be, I think, a challenge. How do we best strike that balance? I think having help, it reminds me of our traditional television production experience. When you do a TV show or produce a TV show, it's not a one-man operation. I mean, there are tools certainly out there now. I have a switcher here. I'm able to switch the show and slow slides and do multiple things at the same time. But it's not necessarily designed for that. I mean, we're all kind of focused on one thing at a time. You kind of shift your attention. So a lot of people I know have producers, kind of either off camera or on camera producers, to help them with the comments and engagement. And I think, maybe that's what we look at too, getting some folks involved there. But yeah, that's my challenge, is trying to find that balance, where I'm doing the show, or, certainly for live and certainly for replay, and then also engaging the comments down here and looking down and typing and all that stuff. We have another question from Del Williams. Our library has a video audio studio, which I will be using for the first time on Thursday. Any idea how I should set up the lights? I think it's green screen. I'm going to get into that in a second. I do want to recognize in the comments, I saw Walter, Knight Rider, and John Preto talking. I guess Walter has seen a preview of larger video on Blab, which I have not seen. I would love to see that. And so he says it's coming, which is great. And I'm looking at, let's see, lower. Let me just see. He posted a. Oh, nice. So Knight Rider posted a picture. Let me just get out of this. Of what he saw, it looks like. So I'm excited about that. Up lower left window and 1 large and 3 small. So if that's the case, I'm excited. So that would be perfect for someone like me who would like to do a TV style production, but still have the engagement with folks on Blab, which will be awesome. So folks at Blab, I'm looking forward to that, seeing that. Let's see, question from Dell. So lighting setup. Dell, it's funny, my lights, I think they look pretty good, and I'm only using 2 lights. So what I would say is, if you're using your green screen, you want to light that green screen. And the key is even lighting. So whatever you need to do, it's not necessarily monolights, it's more about the evenness of the light, especially on the actual background. So as long as you have a nice even lit background, it should provide enough of a background to be able to key, and that's the thing. And the way green screen or chroma key works is the switcher or the computer or the software that you're using. What it's doing is you're telling the software to, okay, key out this particular color, all right. And if you have a nicely evenly lit screen, it's going to key that out nice and cleanly. And then whatever's on top of that, my shot, whatever, comes through, or whatever's behind it. So for example, what's happening here, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So I'll switch. So basically I got a black background, right? And I'll just take off the green screen to show you that what I got here as a demo. So I took off the green. So that's my green screen. Okay. So I'm using a TriCaster, which is a very specialized way. I'm going to tell the TriCaster, okay, key out all that color green. And then what it does is that black is actually transparent. So then when I go to my composited shot, on this shot here, okay, it has that kind of that television background, that all that is an image. And I have it on a, that's in the back, it's basically, think of it as layers. So that's in the back layer. So anything that's green basically is transparent. And what's behind there is this image, and it shows through. And then I'm on top of it. So I key out. So wherever I'm moving, see, it keys it out. So wherever I'm moving, that keys it out. So it needs to have nice even lighting to have a good clean key. Now I'm lucky. The TriCaster does a tremendous job with chroma key, with keying it out. In fact, so much I don't actually light my background. That's the kind of a secret because it's so good. It's just evenly. It'll just pick up the color. So I use 1 light here and 1 light coming down here, so I get a nice hair light. And that's what I would recommend to you. As well, Dell, is you want to have maybe a couple lights in the front, one on about 45 degrees, another one about 45 degrees, a key light, and then the fill light maybe a little bit less intense to get a little definition. And then if you can put a third light, coming from above, call it a hair light or a shoulder light, so that you get some separation from the background, and then light your background as well to get a nice clean effect. As far as being the distance between your background, I'm about, again, don't use me as an example because this thing is really, really good. I'm probably about 3 feet from my background. I would recommend maybe being at least 5-6 feet away from your background, so you get a nice evenly lit, and you don't get the shadow effect. If you're too close to your background, what will happen is you'll cast the shadow, and that'll affect the key. So you want to have enough clearance where you don't cast a shadow on the background. So hopefully, in a long about way, that answers your question. And we got one from Barb. I'm noticing that green screen use with graphic backgrounds such as yours are not looking so hot and repurposing the content, though. Have you ever given consideration to what types of backgrounds are best for repurposing? Yeah, I mean, that's going to be depending on the quality of the recording. If you're strictly speaking about Blab, again, the way you're doing the recording is you're relying on your internet connection. So it's getting recorded, at a central server, and then they send you a link to what's called an MP4 file, an MPEG-4 file, video file. It's compressed video format, and there's only really so much you can do with that. So again, the higher quality camera you use, the higher quality lighting, switcher is going to affect how your final product comes out. It is not HD. If it was HD, it would be that much more. But again, you're working with compressed video, so you're only going to get so much. I would say, the simpler the better. That's why I don't use a motion background. I do have a background with a lot of television monitors there. I use a background that's also not in focus, so it provides some depth as well. So it doesn't compete with the foreground. So I still pop out, but my background is hopefully not too distracting. But again, if you're looking for, kind of a standard answer, I would say the simpler the better would be good. And I would just test things and see how they look. I'm not sure, Mark, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
What I have to add is I'm going to bow out right now.
Oh, no
I've got a couple of records coming up in 5 minutes.
Show to do.
3 o'clock. If you're interested in the Rose Bowl or the Holiday Bowl, got a couple of records coming up that we'll post on YouTube here very soon. So appreciate the interaction today. It was phenomenal. So thank you so much for everybody who jumped in, even if you just listened, commented. And again, we'll definitely be in need of your feedback in regards to what areas you would like us to address in the future. So definitely appreciate that. So join me on Twitter. I'll follow you back, Mark Rogers TV. So
thanks,
Marty, appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you guys later.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So I can stay on for a little bit longer. I do want to look at the comments. I'm having, let's see, Mark Preto, Cowboy Studio Lights. I'm just looking at some of these comments. So the Cowboy Studio Lights, Miss Graham post. That's an excellent suggestion. In fact, that's what I use. I use Cowboy Studio Lights. Very inexpensive set of lights. I don't think I paid more than $50 for 4 lights, two smaller stands, 2 larger stands, 2 umbrellas, and 4 lights. And you don't need anything fancy. You just need nice, nice lighting. Now, it's not the most durable set in the world. So if you're doing something professional and you're taking them on the road, you got to be careful. But if you're just leaving them set up in your home studio, plenty to get started. I call that the rear or the top light a kicker. Yes, Human 2, John Preto is absolutely right. The light I'm using here coming above, it highlights my hair, gives me a little separation. And I think a lot of people, they make the mistake of kind of having very flat lighting. And lots of times what I see is people kind of blending into the background. You want that separation. So a couple of ways you can do it. You can use that kicker light, the hair light or shoulder light to give you some separation, give you kind of rim effect. And you can light your background, and that will give you some separation as well. I'm just reading Mitch Creative. We produce a ton of video for our clients, but would like a way to push videos for them on social in an easy way. We also love, in fact, I'm going to bring that question up. That would make more sense. Also love to be able to expand to markets outside of Mission, but clients don't need to pay for travel. Thanks. So I'm not sure what, let's see. We'd love to them to post for them. So I'm not sure about the question. I would say all these services are going to be helpful. And then again, that's why we talk about these others. There's a ton of different ways to do it. Certainly services like Blab where that one button where you bring people in makes it very easy to set up. Not a lot of technical knowledge needed, all the way to streaming services where you have to use your own encoder and stream it out like a TV show. And forgive me, I'm looking at these comments here. Let's see, all equipment there. Proper lighting is an art, absolutely. Certain backgrounds are fine detail for murder compression. Yes, Runette makes a very excellent point, especially on platforms like Blab and any live streaming platform where you have video compression. if they didn't compress the video, it would be insane amounts of bandwidth that are needed, and most people don't have it, and it would be insane storage that they would need. So video compression has to be part of the equation, but that does come at a cost. And so I think you have to be careful about as far as the backgrounds that you use, and you have to set your expectations, modestly. To be able to get the video out there, you're take a step back in resolution. So, make sure it's not something that's really fine detailed. I think that's the other thing, that when people try to share slides on Blab in the current configuration, a thing you have to realize is that it's not HD at this point. So when you create slides like I did here, I use big letters. So let me I'll go back to so I'll show you what I did before. So I use these, big yellow letters and something very easy to read, no movement, that type of thing. So that people can read it. Don't try to put too much on the screen. I mean, this also goes for when you're presenting publicly. I think, you see some people with slides and they're like little 10-point type and you can't even read it, and they got like 800 words on a slide. That's not the way to go. And especially here, because of the resolution, you want to make sure that you're choosing the right font. Choose a thicker font. Make sure it's nice and big so people can read it. Let's see. I'm just going to they're looking for a private CDN solution. Consider vendors. Yes. Okay. Colin raises a good point. I guess I misunderstood the question. So am I getting are you hearing static from my might be the connection. Anyways, the CDNs, that stands for Content Delivery Network. And I think that might have been the question. So that was what I was going to do today. I was actually going to stream the show to multiple CDNs. YouTube Live is a CDN. You can stream directly to YouTube. That's a good selection. I was going to try Stream Up today. That didn't work. What else was I going to use? Daily Motion is another CDN. There are private CDNs like Akamai has a service. Ustream is a CDN. There's a ton of them out there. Some are free. The better ones you have to pay for. You pay by bandwidth and by data. But there's a ton of them out there, and they range in cost. And they range in features as well as far as private. We can get into that on a future show. I think that would be a great topic to get into. What's a CDN? What are some of the choices out there? But again, there's a lot of choices out there as far as delivering your content directly to everybody. I invite anybody who else. Barb, are you still hearing static on my audio? It just might be one of those days because I did, hearing static. Okay, well, I'm going to end this soon. I did some last minute switching, so that might have something to do with it. I don't think my setup is optimal today, but we'll be better next week. And hopefully we'll have some interesting things as far as streaming to other platforms simultaneously, and we'll get into that. I'm peaking. Okay. All right. That is helpful. Let's see. How about now? Is it a little better now? Not static. Okay, gotcha. I'm clipping. Wireless minor. Okay. Wireless problems. Okay, gotcha. Clipping yet? Okay. Clipping. Yes. I'm a little hot. Well, there you go. See? Great blood. Thanks, Knight Rider. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna play my little outro as we go out here. But I appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll be back. We're definitely back next week. Our first show in 2016. We got a ton of topics we want to cover. We are going to launch a site, so hopefully we can gather some ideas from you guys, present these as episodes with show notes, and be a little bit more helpful instead of just presenting it live video-wise. We want to make sure that we're delivering value to you guys. You guys are spending a lot of time with us, and we want to do the same as well. Thanks, Del. Thanks, Furkan. Appreciate that. Thanks, Barb. You guys are great. We want to try to share information that's helpful to you guys. No question is stupid. There's no such thing as a stupid question. We love talking about this. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm going to go to my close, but we'll be back again next week. Bye.